Okay. I didn't catch that.
That's not
Okay.
my house.
Yeah, so we'll begin the meeting and we'll start with approval of the minutes. Shall I share the minutes here?
They look fine for me.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just bring them up quickly. Sorry for this.
All right.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I guess I second. So all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 All right, so next, does anyone have any announcements?
No.
Okay, I have just one. Tyler Arboretum is sponsoring something called, here, I can stop share here, is sponsoring like a panel discussion called Ecological Practice on a Local Level, Connect with Change Makers in Your Community. So it's a few of the area EAC folks. I know media is one of them. I forget the other, I think there are two others. And it's like a panel discussion as to what they're doing. And I think they want to make some connections with other EACs. Anyway, I signed up for it. It's $12. And it's on April 10th at 2 p.m. Sarah or Colleen, if you're interested, I'll send you the information if you want to attend this as well.
Let me see what's going on April 10th.
I actually had trouble locating the original links.
Oh,
So if
that's the Darby Creek Valley Association cleanup that day
Oh,
at Sawmill Park.
well, I will definitely attend it. Colleen, do you think you're interested?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll send it to you, the information to you. Okay. Sounds like a good way to, since we're kind of small and not very mighty at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, a good way to connect.
And to get outside and connect. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Does anyone have any other announcement?
No, I was going to announce that on the 10th of April is the Darby Creek Valley
Okay.
Association cleanup at Sawmill Park.
Okay. So I won't be there.
I can see that.
All right. So the next thing is update on webpage revisions. So I did send in to Ben and Molly some updates for our EAC page on, and I included the last 2 years annual report. I wrote up a little annual report, which isn't like all inclusive, but at least it shows the recent dates, because
Right.
the last annual report is, I think, 2013. And that's a little embarrassing. So I did some updates, but they haven't shown up yet. And yeah, I don't know if any of you have any suggestions for anything we can put on that page. I guess you can't really say until you see what I've done. I've updated the information about that park, the renovations on the park, and the adoption of the Ready for 100 initiative, and a few other things that we did do in the past few years that I know about, since I haven't been there that long. Yeah, so hopefully that'll show up soon. Yeah. So next is our update and vote. We don't have a quorum, I guess. So is 3 a quorum when you have only 5? No. Update and vote on zero waste management. So Colleen, I started showing Sarah this informally, and I don't know if you were able to read the second rendition. Oh, before we get started, Colleen, did you get any information? You said you were finding out some information.
I went to Elaine Schaefer, I sent her an email, and she pretty much indicated they're trying to adapt what they're doing in Chester, not close it.
Right.
So, I don't like the motion that we got that they wanted us to, agree to and give to the Board of Commissioners was pretty much terminating it. And I would love to terminate. I just don't think there's anywhere else to go right now. So
Right,
she's the Delaware Council, and she's like, to her, that was a rash move, that we should
Right.
just see if we can adapt it somehow. I don't know what the renewal terms are with Radnor Township. And I thought
Okay,
maybe,
well, that's sort of what, now this is the third rendition that I focused on. I changed that. You're right. It just saying, just to, stop is
Right.
not a practical way to go about it. I know that Swarthmore and Havertown apparently did request that, but let me just show you what I
There-
have here.
If I can jump in,
Yeah,
they're doing it for the environmental, their focus is the environmental racism.
right.
And
right.
the Chester people, obviously, they want it closed down. I was explaining to Margie, having worked in Chester and watched the trash trucks, even though it was in the 90s, the fact that they were open, giant trucks that had netting over the top, so the dust and the road dust was flowing everywhere, which is one of the reasons they have 5 times as much childhood asthma in Chester as they do anyplace else in the county. But the weight of the trucks on what is basically sand or riverbank, because it went down 3rd Street and there's only 2nd Street and 1st Street doesn't really exist. Colleen, the little brick row houses were literally shaking apart. So as much as it's the trash and the burning, it's what they're doing to the neighborhood. So of course, those people in Chester
right,
want Covanta out.
right.
And somehow, somewheres there has to be a middle. Covanta, I sent it to Margie. Covanta says, oh, we're perfect and we're doing this and we're doing that. It's absolutely no trouble. And Margie, having a sharp scientific eye, picked holes in their thing like crazy. So somewheres there needs to be a middle. And
Right.
I frankly think that a lot of this is is the education. And I only look at my neighborhood, Beaupre, Lower Radnor Township, that some person rudely told me to my face that I lived in the Camden of Radnor Township. We're not recycling properly. We're not watching how much trash we have. And that's the biggest nut of all to crack, is how do you educate people who don't even think about trash recycling, throw it out. And of course, the volume of trash and recycling is very high. And I also would love to do some research, but I got to be careful how much I cross the township, is to how do dual stream recyclers work as opposed to single stream?
Right.
Right.
Right. So I just want to show you, I would really like to get this resolution, put out there. It's basically the same as the second one I send out, the revised one, just giving facts here about the incinerator and the problem in Chester, with the environmental racism. So whereas a put or play clause in the contract guarantees that the county burn 300,000 tons per year of trash, or pay a waste shortfall fee. I think this is the one piece that we ought to focus on. And so I suggested that we not extend the service agreement under the current terms. And then it says further that we shouldn't sign anything that requests the county to send a minimum amount of waste to any facility, because it is a disincentive to cutting back on
About a
waste.
place too, right?
And so then this just goes on to say, that we want to head towards a zero waste and find out maybe some practical ways of doing it. None of us are experts how to do this, but if we were to get someone that could give us some concrete advice as to how to go about this. Right now, there's no incentive to do that because we'll just get fined for doing it, for having not enough trash. So I don't know if this would be acceptable to the others in this group if we did it this way, and simply as a resolution to work towards zero waste and to, not sign a contract that fines you if you don't supply the amount. And clearly they're going to sign the contract. I mean, they have to, they can't make the change that quickly.
Right, that's what Elaine
I
said.
think this is maybe a piece that they need to negotiate about. And I think they could negotiate because I don't think Covanta wants to suddenly, lose a huge contract like this either. So yeah, I don't know what I was chatting with Sarah about this. What do you think about this tactic, Colleen?
Well, I was wondering if the easier thing to do is to get more, I feel like I don't have enough information about it, that if we go to the Board of Commissioners and say that we have this. I mean, I would go in as just making a request. When is the contract up? What are the terms? And then talk about this with them and kind of get their input.
Well, the contract's up May 1st.
Yeah.
I know that but that's what I mean, that I don't know what they can do by May 1st.
Right. I don't know that that's our problem though. I think that we need to just say where we'd like to head,
Right. And nothing ventured is nothing gained.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this proposal then that says, where is it? That Radnor Township requests that Delaware County Council retain zero waste experts to perform an audit of waste management.
Right.
So we need experts. We don't know about this.
No, and that's what Elaine said they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, they do have zero waste experts.
That's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay, well then we're kind of right on the same.
And I don't know whether you gals know, but the county now has a sustainability committee composed of both professionals and interested citizens that is tackling a whole
I didn't know that.
menu of items, and this Covanta issue is on it as well. Now, I don't know whether it's still going on, but I was told less than a year ago that the county has slapped, county is placed, slapped is biased. The county has placed a $20 per ton surcharge for any of the trash that is to go to, that goes to the transfer station. So Radnor's really paying through the nose on some of this.
Well, that would be a further incentive to cut back on our waste, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. And to get more effective and remunerative recycling. Right now, the only recycling in plastic that's paying anything is plastics 1 and 2, which is the single-use bags. They're being used by a plant in Pottstown to make Trek, which is the artificial decking. And the rest of it, and because a lot of it is because of contamination, it's worthless, and they're charging more and more and more to get rid of it. So the good and the bad news is we really need to be doing, someone needs to be doing a very strong education program.
Right.
Right.
And
So,
that's the nut.
yeah. So I don't know, since we can't vote today anyway, yeah, if anybody comes up with some more information on this, otherwise, I'll send it around to the group again and, see if we can't forward this to the board. And of course, it won't make a change in what Delaware County does. And it may not even get through the board in time. But I think just to say that, we want to work towards this is such a good thing.
But you'll send it to Bill White, and he'll probably give it to John Rice, who may rework some of the wording, but keep the spirit. And then it would go to the Board of Commissioners. What have you got to lose? They say, no, not right now. Get some more information and bring it to us again.
Right.
It's better than sitting on, in my opinion, it's better than sitting on your hands.
Right. So who did you, I mean, I thought I was supposed to send things all through Ben, who's our liaison.
Well, you can send it to Ben, but it goes to Bill White.
Okay.
And then it goes to John Rice, and he makes sure that it's all legally pro forma. And then, so he rewrites part of it or asks you, why have you done this? And then it's sent to the board at one of their Board of Commissioners meetings.
Okay. So, yeah, so you'll see it again. And I'll send it round again. And then
Okay.
Colleen, if you learn of anything else in the meantime, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is they're looking at it, but they don't have an answer either.
Yeah, yeah. But it's good that we're all thinking that direction. This is the good part.
Well, and there are lots of municipalities in Delaware County are doing exactly that. They're letting county council know that this is
They
something.
don't want
And
them.
it's good. We
Very
show some
conservative.
solidarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I have to write everything down or I'll forget. All right. So any last words on this before we move on?
No.
No.
Okay, thanks. So the next thing I have down is practical energy solutions that was adopted by the Radnor Township. And I don't know if, I think Sarah Colleen, if you've seen the little brochure about it. Let me see.
No, I didn't see.
Well, that's 68 pages long. It's on the.
Yeah, are you seeing the right thing? Are you seeing the Radnor Township
Yes,
renewable
renewable
energy?
energy.
Yeah. Okay, so this, I think I sent this around through Sarah. I forget it, or I just got it. I can't remember if I sent it.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering, of course, we hardly have anybody here. So if anybody would be interested in kind of scanning through this and see if there's a little role that the EAC could play in this.
I'll definitely go through it and
Oh, okay.
see if I
Great.
can glean something that we could.
Okay, so that would be great.
Well, do you want me to tell you where we are now?
Yeah, and where would I find this document?
I'll send it to you.
On the-
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's
also
on,
on the front page of the township website.
yeah, you can get it. You can get it through the township. Yep. But I'll send it. It's easier that way.
So Colleen, it was not oh, this is wonderful. Of course, we're going to accept it. We were put off for 3 meetings, and then we'd originally asked for a half an hour to educate the commissioners, and it was cut down to 5 minutes. And it was not sent in the packet. So there were at least 2 commissioners who I know very well had not read it at all. And we had a webinar on the 2nd of March, February, whenever it was. And only one commissioner, Lisa Borowski, attended the webinar. there were 93 people on the webinar.
Wow.
30 that I could readily identify were
I
from
was-
Radnor. 60 some, and I've just sent it around to the list around to the green team to see if there are other people who live in the township who I don't know, so that, because we'll develop a database. So one of our illustrious commissioners said, well, nothing should be done because the technology is just not advanced enough. After all, the windmills froze during the Texas cold snap. And another commissioner wanted to know what the final cost would be if the township got to work in 2021 and the ultimate goal is 2050. And he would have to know what that hard cost was before he could vote.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he did cave. 2 commissioners voted, there's 7 commissioners. One commissioner happened to have left his desk because this was a Zoom call. And so he couldn't be counted. So it was 4-2. We were then asked by Bill White to come up with some first actions that wouldn't cost the township any money. So we sent off to him. I delivered it at 8:35 this morning. Only he's not there. He's away till Monday. But anyhow, so we had 4 actions for the township to do. The first is to begin prioritizing the energy saving activities that PICO did a total analysis of the township building and which ones would they start first.
Right.
To talk to the school district is about to spend $24 million on the high school and they've signed a resolution to go together and work cooperatively and hire a sustainability director because you're going to have benchmarks. The third is to begin a discussion with planning to add climate change remedies to all new commercial and residential and redevelopment. So here's an example that would read to you. All houses that were built of a certain price range, but we know what's happening with the price of houses in Radnor, who had a garage. One of the requirements is to, while they're building the house, put in the wiring for an EV unit, for EV charging.
Right.
It probably would cost $100 while you were building the house.
Yeah.
But we know it's about $1,000 if it's retrofitted.
Right.
To make sure there's enough insulation to put in these new windows as a requirement that if you haven't put in a window lately, it has a transparent coating on the outside of the window. And you do not lose heat in the winter, nor do you get heat in from the summer. I replaced 2 windows in one little room of my house. They were the original, or for me, they were Thermopane from about 1985 and they'd cracked. And that room was 20 degrees cooler this summer than it had ever been before.
Wow.
It's just, and of course, the big move, which will be the biggest fight, is to not use natural gas, is electrification. So
Is that number
whatever-
4? Is that the number 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are, and they're all beginning dialogues to get it started. The green team will take on, granted we have no money, I'm not quite sure how we're going to pull it off, that we will send out a letter, a dual postcard, I'm not quite sure what it is, to every business and residential unit, or maybe just the houses in Radnor Township, inviting them to become a climate change champion with very low hanging fruit energy audits, which you've done and I've done. When you have to replace your furnace, consider, yeah, what are they called, Margie?
The mini splits.
Mini split heat units rather than going with a furnace with oil or gas. We will begin to look into solarized Radnor, which will be very different from solarized Delco. And what's our fourth? The website, a better, more extensive website. And one of the things we've asked for is a schedule of all the township sponsored events throughout the year so that we could piggyback literature in an envelope. We had hoped to do it with the sewer rent and the stormwater fee bills, but they go out next week. And anyhow, we got turned down.
So you mean the Radnor Township's website? Is that,
Yes.
that what you're
And we also want to get clear with administration if there are any restrictions on having a Facebook page. So that people.
Well, that's what, I was talking about. That was actually my next topic.
Right.
So when you say we, do you mean the green team or do you mean us?
The green
EAC.
team. This is
Oh.
all this because the green team is not grabbing it and going. They're not stopping anybody from being involved. And I had a long talk with a guy from Shade Tree today, and we've got some projects. He needs to plant trees, and we've got projects that are climate change related to tie into that. But the green team was given leadership, not the EAC. They did say that the green team, because we've been working for 3 years on this, will continue working with other groups as well.
Well, then I'm not sure what our place is.
Well, we haven't, but we're just starting at the very beginning, Margie, because the township doesn't want it to cost anybody any money at all. So that is, that's going to stop us from doing some stuff. And we have to get through COVID to do a lot of the education. But that's where we're starting from. That's step 1, 2, 3, 4 for both the green team taking leadership and for us asking the township to take leadership. Because this is till 2050. I won't be alive. And hopefully we'll get to 2030 because there are scientists say that we don't have till 2035. We only have till 2030, but we're not going to look at that right now. So
Yeah.
we will look at ways. I know that one of my deep concerns is where I'd be working with Shade Tree, we would be working with Shade Tree, is widening the buffers around streams that are endangered. And I know you had been part of the Isaac Walton League. I would love to see the EAC, if they will, take on the Little Darby Creek and find out what the salinity rate is, what are the level of salts. We want to widen the buffers because it used to be the cows would be in the stream at Sawmill Park. Now they can't get in because of
Well, it isn't good to have cows in the stream.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a trail all through there. But if you widen the buffer, one of the truths, one of the scientific knowledges is that within 15 years in the summer, you will not be able to walk on an open trail because it'll be so hot. And in Arizona, they're building trails and putting substances in macadam trails where it absorbs. It's really like solar. It absorbs the sun all day and it glows at night because people are doing their walking and their exercise at dusk and at dawn. They're not coming out in the middle of the day. So if you look that far ahead, there's a lot to be done. And one of the focuses of not only Ready for 100, but for climate change is to improve water quality. So, but
Okay, so we're like, this is a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
well,
Um,
just know that we can't lay the whole thing out at once because the township,
Right. So-
they just are reluctantly buying in. And it's the same thing as the waste and the recycling. It's educating people.
I know.
Right.
And
So-
that's the hard piece, is to educate people to go, oh, I could do that.
Yeah, I'm confused now because I'm just, I'm in the EAC and working in the EAC, and I'd like to know, what we can do other than just talk about it. And we can't just go do the stream thing because we don't have the manpower unless just I go there or Colleen and I go or something. Yeah, I think so. Having heard that, Colleen, if you see another place for us in this, that would be helpful. And that leads us to number 7, education and communication initiatives. I was requesting to have a Facebook page, but if the green team has one, that doesn't.
No, Margie, the township has one.
Yeah,
The
but
Radnor Citizens for Responsible Government has one. There's no reason why the EAC can't have one, and the green team have one. It's, I mean,
right.
Haverford Townships, they call it HCAN. They must have 4 or 5 different pages that focus on their subject.
Okay. Yeah, because I spoke with Molly and she said we could put in a link that would link to the Facebook page, because as it is, it's very difficult to update anything because it has to go through, Ben and Molly, and this way we could at least put some information, some education pieces up on this Facebook page, because it's too time consuming to get anything on the actual Radnor Township page. It just doesn't seem to move very quickly. So, yeah. So,
It is
So,
difficult. This Radnor Township staff is pretty lean.
yeah, I know. Our liaison is the finance person. He must be overwhelmed.
Well, he writes the checks. He's
Yeah.
not the finance person, but because
Oh.
Bob Tate is, but he
Oh,
writes
okay.
the checks.
And so everything has to go through him to get.
Well, see, for us, it would go directly to Facebook.
Yeah, well, that's why I think Haverford has a Friends of the Haverford Environmental Advisory Council
Right.
page, and I thought we could have that. But what we would need
You have to have stuff to put on it.
on it, yeah. I mean, I could think of a ton of I get like inundated with all of these webinars and volunteer opportunities through my Master Naturalist group and my Master Watershed Steward group. So I could put all of that on it. But yeah, I need the rest of you to, have ideas what we could put on it as well. I mean, we could just give the link to this again, even though it's there on the township, or we could, have a blurb about the Covanta incinerator. I mean, there are a lot of things we can have on that page. How many people would actually look at it? I don't know.
That's what I wondered. It's almost like the green team used to be, actually the EAC set up the green team.
Yeah.
And they were the green team. So now I feel like we're almost duplicating what the green team's doing. And maybe we're just the education arm. And almost feeding from the green team what they're doing and trying to spread that out to other people. I think that's sort of how it's going to work.
Right. So we would more or less just reinforce what the green team's doing.
Right.
Well, you would you're the Environmental Action Advisory Council. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that
Right.
you could put on. I mean, we're going to be planning, and changing the saldo is going to be a very heavy lift for us, because one more time, we need to educate Radnor people and developers. And there's tremendous financial kudos for building a house that is more environmentally conscious than it might have been. There's all sorts of labels. There's all sorts of money that developers can have, their credits that the person who buys the house can have, and the resale value of these houses that are looking forward is much, much higher than my poor little old 100-year-old house that has no insulation in the walls. So there are financial reasons to do it. The big issue is going to be educating for change, and no one likes change.
But I just know a million years ago when I was going to subdivide my property, they made me go to the EAC and they said, I have no power. We want to talk to you about not subdividing and keeping your property intact to protect the stream.
Okay.
Which was great, because I ended up doing that, but I wouldn't have thought of it unless somebody told me to do that. So I was wondering if maybe the easier way is to kind of integrate into the planning, if someone's building a new home, that there is some sort of requirement that they at least get educational information from us, whether they have to come to the EAC and how they have to go to the shade tree. That might be the easiest way to talk to people who are building a new home. Again, I don't know how to reach people. I'm kind of where you are. We can put up a Facebook page, but there are so many, and I don't want to confuse people having them going to multiple sites. The same.
We can't even seem to get 2 new members in our group. So I wanted them to make an announcement on the homepage, the Radnor homepage, you know, where they have upcoming events and so forth, that for people interested to apply. And I'm going to try that again. It's just, you would think in this day of so many communications, we wouldn't have such a hard time communicating. So Colleen, that's a great idea about, you know, having, you know, builders, you know, check in with us. But
so what I suggest, because now that I watch them on COVID, I don't have to go, begin a dialogue with Eileen Brett for Shade Tree and with Matt Golis for planning. And Matt actually is the chair of the Planning Commission, but he's still on the Shade Tree Commission. So it would be good to have a conversation with them.
Do that, right?
And see where you could slot in. Now, Shade Tree, I just watched a meeting today because I had met earlier today on a Zoom call with a member of the Shade Tree who's looking for, their goal is to plant 1,000 trees within the next 4 years. So where is it going to go?
In the township,
And it's more reforestation than it is street trees, because amazingly enough, some of the neighborhoods they've approached, they don't want trees.
Well, they just cut all the trees down on Morris Avenue.
Well, they're planning, that money's all allocated. So here's an environmental piece, Margie. The neighborhood insisted they should all be alike. So they're putting in a monoculture. The Shade Tree said, mix it up. They wanted all flowering cherries, which are not as long-lived.
That's what they just removed. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's what the neighborhood and their commissioner wanted.
Okay. Who did you say is in charge of the planning committee?
Matt Golis.
Okay.
And it's not a committee, it's a commission.
Okay.
And Eileen Brett, Brett, is the chair of the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay, I have that one. Yeah. Okay. So, any other proposals as far as, communicating and educating. I do think that any little bit we do is like, even if only one person sees it, it's one more than would, So, and maybe we could get together with the shade tree and the planning groups, and get information from them that we could, put on our page and, hope for some,
Well, it
education
may
opportunity.
also give you some direction
Yeah.
as to where to go. Now, here's a tip for you. I only know it because I was watching one meeting on Zoom this week. The Wayne Business Association, it was the commissioners meeting on Monday night. The Wayne Business Association, anticipating that COVID is going to be under control, are going to have the fall festival.
Oh, they are.
That's
Where I wanted to have that little booth.
So know that they didn't give a date, but that's part of their plan. And I'll tell you how the Ready for 100, we went to Bob Zinkowski and said, we're doing this work for you. So the township paid the $75 for the table for us to participate.
Oh, so you are going to be participating.
Oh, absolutely.
This is for the upcoming one.
Yeah, for the one it was in September. Now, it's tentative. It's all COVID dependent.
Okay. Well, we could have the EAC could have a booth as well on, recycling, compost. I mean, there's so many things.
Right.
And I think to invite, some of the renewable energy companies that people can switch to, they will come as vendors. And I've seen them at other festivals that.
Can you register now then? Could we, with the Wayne Business
It's
Association?
all tentative. I mean, it's all COVID dependent, Colleen. If there's another spike, if this goes on longer, it's really was more, this is what we want to do. The tent is going back up.
Yeah.
And they've been.
Well, there's almost no Wayne business.
No, there isn't.
Well, that's what the tent's there, so people can gather, can keep the restaurants staggering along, and they're calling it creating the town square.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to be allowed to keep it up till November. And the township is not paying for it. The Wayne Business Association is raising the money to run it, which was costing them in the spring. Or last year, it was costing them $20,000 a month for the tent,
Oh
for
my
the
God.
cleanup, for the security,
Oh, wow.
and for the renting the porta potties. So
Wow.
it's not a little investment.
Right.
I have a feeling that the restaurants this is, something they're doing to try to survive.
Right.
But from the people who go to it, I mean, as a single person, I'm not going to Wayne to go sit under a tent, but that's just me. Apparently they're getting very good response because
people love it.
Oh, people
love
want to do this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So whether there's an opportunity to have a table to be there, will somebody come around? Is there another event where it would be worthwhile to be there to give out information? I don't know. I also found out the other night during our meeting that the Radnor Conservancy is going to have a sale towards the end of May, but they didn't have a date to be selling native perennials at the Willows. So I don't know whether that's something you want to talk to Gretchen Grobel and have a card table and some information. I don't know.
Okay, at the thing.
but there was no date given. It was just a plan. And Mary Coe is a member of the Green Team. She's also on the board of the Willows, and they didn't even know about it. So they must be doing it through Tammy.
Right.
And I understand there's going to be an Arbor Day at the Willows the end of April. So I don't know whether that's another opportunity for you to
All right,
sell your wares, theoretically.
yeah. Okay, so I think our time is rapidly approaching here. Does anybody have any old business,
No.
new business?
No.
Okay, and we don't have any public comment. So, yeah, so I'd appreciate, any more input on all of this, and Colleen, you can, let me know if you
After I
find
read
a
Okay.
particular area. And in the meantime, I'll start working on something that could be a Facebook page, and I'll run it by. I don't think I need to vote on this, but I would run it by everybody, to see if they have any additions or changes or something like that. I just feel any little bit that we could do is more than than nothing.
I'm sure you're letting the people who live in Radnor who also are on Facebook, and that's mostly, let's say, much younger generation than I am, but it's the 30s and 40 years who look at it.
Yeah.
You're letting them know that you exist. I mean, another thing I found out today was that Westchester University and the Green Group, I don't know whether it's Westchester, Chester County, are planning to have an in-person meeting with Doug Tallamy of the University of Delaware as the main speaker. And his whole thing is the environment, is native plant materials, is bees and bugs and birds. And he's fascinating, absolutely fascinating to listen to. So they didn't have a date yet, but they're planning it.
I mean, I do have someone that would be interested in talking with either us, our group, or maybe it could just be a webinar open to the township on waste management. This is kind of her area of how to get started, the first little steps towards zero waste management. So that, that's something else we could.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so any last pieces before we adjourn?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Small-
Good seeing
Small
you.
little group.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll see you